So Sarah, maybe while we're waiting, do you want to flick to the first slide there in our little poll, and maybe those people that are signed in can familiarize themselves with the chat window and answer our questions there. We're curious to know where our audience, who our audience is. Where are you in your career? Are you graduating soon? Have you already graduated and you're looking for a job that you'll love? Are you already in a professional career job and looking for options? Or are you maybe a mature student or switching careers, perhaps a little bit further on in your career and looking to switch gears? The chat window should be associated with 3 buttons somewhere on your screen. Good. Starting to see a few answers coming in now.
I think you're good to proceed first.
Okay. Good. Well, greetings, everybody. As you're kind of having a look at the slide and maybe telling us a little bit about who you are or where you are in your career, I will we'll kick this off. My name is Charlie Palmer. I'm a practice leader for environmental impact assessment at Hemera. I'm a botanist by training. I've worked at Hemera for I think 17 years and have been a consulting biologist and impact assessor for almost 25 years. With me today are a few of my colleagues from Hemera. Kerry Dow, business leader, site assessment and remediation. Thanks, Kerry. Sheena Shaw, business leader from our human environment group, joining us from Whitehorse. Elise McDonald, business leader in environmental planning, joining us from Calgary. And behind the scenes, but by no means unimportant, is Sarah Legier from our people and performance management team. So what we're going to do here today is present for 20-25 minutes on the topic, and then we'll take some questions. I would urge you to use the Q&A function, the chat window, to pose your questions at any time. So as soon as you get a question, don't hesitate to drop it into the Q&A box there, and we'll be monitoring those, and we'll answer your question maybe after we've finished doing our presentations. And then following the 25 odd minutes of presentations, we'll make ourselves available, and we'll answer your questions there. So Sarah, if I can ask you to go back to the first slide there, our introductory slide. Today's presentation is on the skills needed to succeed in consulting. And whilst we are all environmental consultants, I think the skills that we talk about here apply equally to any sort of consulting. Collectively, the panelists have over 50 years of consulting experience, and from a wide variety of backgrounds and geographies. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to start with sort of an overarching presentation on some skills and on the skills that we think that you need to be a successful consultant, and my colleagues will kind of build on that with some of the with a bit more specificity and with some examples, kind of from their careers as they have developed their careers. So Sarah, if you wouldn't mind popping a couple of slides forward, please. So these are the key attributes for a successful consultant. consulting is a service industry. It's one where we sell our time to our clients by offering our expertise or our capacity to clients who perhaps don't have either the expertise or that capacity. So a strong consultant has very good expertise in one or many disciplines. And in order to gain and show good expertise requires obviously good training, and I see from the chat window that a lot of you are graduating soon. I presume that means you are getting building some great expertise, and you'll grow that as your careers in professional jobs start building. But even when you're in a job, we are required to continually learn. We do a lot of professional development, both during our work and outside of our work time. A good consultant is one who is curious about their craft and their discipline. I would urge you to really know the basics and know the theory behind what you the theories and the formative work that sits behind your craft, because that is a really, really important thing for you to have. Communication is a skill that every job needs, and it's absolutely, because that's how we deliver our message to our clients, colleagues, public, to regulators. No one cares how brilliant you are, how much expertise you have. If you can't convey that message, it'll be a message that just falls on deaf ears or doesn't get across. And so we constantly work with people to develop their oral and written communication skills in order that we are able to communicate better. I'd urge you to look at writing courses, debating, young orators groups are great ways of becoming a good communicator and developing your communication skills. Obviously, being a good communicator requires that you understand and know, and I think listening is one of those key ways to really understand your audience, to understand your clients. And you've probably heard the adage that you've got two ears and one mouth. You should do twice as much listening as you do talking, and it's very true. You'll assume less and understand more if you listen and listen deeply, in order that gives you the time to understand and formulate a deep understanding of what the issues actually are, and to really listen to your clients. And that is how we build trust with our clients. And trust is one of the really, really important things that we must do, or we must gain with our clients, because they've entrusted us. They've entrusted us with their business. They are asking us to help them through a challenge, to find a solution, and in order that we are delivering that to them in a way that is in a way that they like, we have to build trust with them. And so giving them assurance and a sense of calm about the fact that they can trust their business in our hands is something that we always must do. And again, one of the key ways we do that is being humble about our role. The client is the one that is getting the service. The client is the one that we are looking after. It's not about our individual success. It is about the success of the team and the success of our client in achieving their goals. That is most important. Having confidence is also a key and critical component, and at least outwardly having confidence is something that's really important. And you will hear the adage that a a client always says yes, and we say yes, and then we worry about what we do and how we get to yes afterwards. And whilst that sounds boastful, it's kind of the way the business operates. And we do have to show that we are confident in the face of those challenges. But I want to really urge you to balance that with being curious and being mindful about the fact that that it's okay to ask questions, and it's especially okay to ask really intelligent questions that enable you to gain that deeper understanding. So, you know, don't, yeah, we run the risk of saying yes too often and being outside of our area of competency if we are not very, very careful. So, you do have to have confidence to be a good consultant, but please be aware that that confidence can be overstated. And you are able to ask questions, and I want to see curiosity in the people that I work with. I want to see intelligent questions coming from them, so that I know that that understanding is that we are building that really deep understanding. Lastly, I think we need to be collaborative in the way that we work, and we operate in teams. Nobody in a consultancy, or possibly nobody in any job, is working in a silo, and the ability to work with your team, to work with your client, and to be able to work in a team situation will make you a much better consultant. And Sarah, if you would move to the next slide, this kind of gets to one of the final thing that I want to talk about, and that is having adaptability and flexibility actually, next one, please. Having the adaptability and the flexibility to be able to help your team do any job that comes to mind. And there's the thing about being adaptable and flexible is it opens up a whole bunch of opportunities. And there's been some pictures and through this presentation of some things that consulting has enabled me to do. I do a lot of work in renewable energy and wind energy, and that came about because I was open to the opportunity and was able to work with a team and grow that business for our company. I made myself useful to those people, and it gave me an opportunity to grow. I have taught environmental impact assessment in Argentina. You can probably hear from my accent that I'm not from Canada. I became a consultant in my home country of New Zealand and came to Canada, and Canada has welcomed me as a consulting biologist and given me the opportunities to grow my career here. And so having adaptability, flexibility, having a range of skills has enabled me to maintain my position in this company through, a number of economic downturns. I've grown my career in a way that has been positive for me. And I think, I would urge you to really be open and about the ways that you can work in a consulting environment, because it is a really dynamic environment to work in. You never really know what you're doing from one day to the next, and that makes it very, very exciting. So I'm going to hand the mic over now to Kerry Dow, and she's going to speak a little bit more about some of the points I've raised.
All right, thanks, Charlie. Oh, now we're muted. Okay. Hi, so I'm Kerry Dow. I am a business leader in our site assessment and remediation group. So that's the dirty dirt business. I work on contaminated sites, and I've been doing that for almost 20 years now. So today you're going to hear 4 perspectives, on consulting, and I think you'll see some general themes that all 4 of us are going to talk about. So I wanted to start off a little bit differently than Charlie and talk a little bit about my journey to how I got to where I am, or what I'm doing, more like it. So I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was young and just graduating from high school. I knew, what my interest lied in the science sort of area, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I went to college first, and I spent the first couple years of my college days trying a bunch of different things. I went down the road of sports medicine, kinesiology, realized really quickly that I didn't think touching strangers was going to be a thing for me, so that didn't work out. Then I thought about becoming a vet, and just, you know, the thought of 8 more years of school at that point, just nothing fit. Nothing was fitting for me. I was starting to get frustrated. Then I went to an open house, and I had an aha moment. I found the EPT program, or it's the Environmental Protection Technology program at what is now KPU. So it was a practical, and it is still a practical and hands-on program. Small class sizes, you know, which really suited my learning style. And all the courses on the curriculum were super interesting to me. And the best part was the 2 paid co-op work terms that they actually help you find. So that's what attracted me to that program. And from there, I got in, I started, and I still didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. But I finally felt like I was at least on the right path. So my first co-op term, I spent the summer spraying pesticides to kill mosquito larvae and adults. And I realized very quickly, you know, that I really enjoyed the field work. I liked being outside. I liked being, in this case, I was out in the salt marshes of Delta. And I really, really enjoyed that part of the job. But what I didn't love was what I was doing in particular. So great. My second co-op term, I landed a different position, and that position was doing contaminated sites work at a different firm. And well, here I am almost 20 years later, and I'm still working in that field and here talking to you about my journey. So I guess for me, you know, the moral of the story is that if you're like me and you're not sure what you want to do, and you didn't grow up thinking, you know, how much you'd like to be a contaminated sites expert, you know, then co-op or an internship or any of those types of programs, you know, are really great ways to get introduced to a number of different jobs in the field and related fields, and to try a few on for size. And maybe you find something you love, or at least you find a few things that you don't, but you start building your network and you move on. So the other real benefit for me, at least for co-op, and in my experience, was that, you know, I had a leg up on a lot of my peers from other programs. You know, when I graduated, I had some real world work experience, and I think that was pretty valuable. Helped me land my first job for sure. I actually ended up lucky enough to go back to the company that I did my co-op with. So really, really great experience. Okay, so that's for folks that are, you know, still not sure what they want to do or considering their schooling options. But so I want to switch gears a little bit and talk to, you know, folks that have maybe already in the industry or deciding that they want to try out the industry, and give and provide some advice for those of you in your sort of more early years. So my 3 key points are on the slides for you. Never say no. Now, the obvious exception to that is with safety concerns. Obviously, say no to that. But never say no to any opportunities that come your way in your early years to try something different. Take on everything you can and learn as much as you can. Work in every sector, whether it be oil and gas or real estate or mining, whatever sector or opportunity comes your way. Just never say no. And maybe it's contaminated sites, and maybe it's environmental impact assessment like Charlie was talking about. Whatever it is, just take that opportunity. You never know what you're gonna love and what's gonna work for you and what's not. So never say no in your early years. Learn as much as you can. Next is be flexible and agile. So, you know, be ready to travel and work out of town for weeks at a time, and at the drop of a hat. That happens too. Yeah, embrace seeing parts of your home province or territory, or maybe even others, you know, like the Yukon, that you wouldn't maybe see or travel to on your own. And ask lots of questions. understand not only what you're doing, but why you're doing it. Consulting is a business, and we're providing a solution to a client who has a business problem. So for example, I work in the real estate sector quite a bit. When a client comes to me because their bank has said they need to do a phase 1 environmental site assessment, the first thing I ask is, what are they trying to do with the property? If they just need refinancing for their mortgage, my recommendation will be different than if they want to redevelop their gas station or their dry cleaner into condos. If they're redeveloping to a totally new land use, we need to make sure that they meet the regulations and that the new development will be safe for humans and the environment to live or work there. So it can be quite different. And then lastly, strive to understand the business. Because at the end of the day, consulting is a business and it is a for-profit endeavor. And we are selling our knowledge and our expertise to help clients solve a business problem. So, we work on a billable hour that's tracked against utility targets, which vary by role. It's very similar to the way like a law firm would work in that way. And to be a good, well-rounded consultant, you'll wear 3 hats. There'll be an operational focused hat where this is the running of the business side, things like time management, people management, project management. There's the technical hat. And this is where the expertise that the field of expertise that you work in. So knowing how to solve a client's business problem, for like the example I mentioned, where I help clients understand their environmental liability through investigating and remediating contaminated sites. And the last hat that a good, well-rounded consultant wears is the business development hat. So this speaks to your internal and your external network of colleagues and clients that you can engage with to solve a problem or to bring in work to your company. Kind of like what Charlie was, or exactly what Charlie was mentioning. We want to be our client's trusted advisor in our technical area of expertise. So yeah, so never say no, be flexible and agile, and strive to understand the business. And that's my advice. With that, I will pass it off to Sheena Shaw.
Hi. Thanks very much. I just want to quickly, before I jump in, remind everyone that the Q&A function is there. So please do send in your questions, even if it seems like the timing's off. We'll hold on to them and answer them when we have a chance. And so we're definitely here to answer your questions. Just a little background on me. As the picture indicates, I live in Whitehorse, Yukon. I actually grew up here, but I went to school in Victoria at UVic. I have a degree in anthropology. So the human environment group at Hemera deals with all things human. And so anthropology, of course, is the study of people. And when I graduated way back in 2001, I naively thought I would just stroll down the street and get a cushy government job with the BC government. And then reality kind of reared its ugly head. And of course, I came back north and started working in what I wouldn't have originally considered my field. And so I guess that's one of my key themes from this is that, even things that don't seem like they will apply, or, even in jobs that you think, oh, I'm not using my degree, there's always things to be learning from. And so my job took me over to Yellowknife, and I worked at a diamond mine, and I was a comms person. I was a communications assistant. And so I was doing things like party planning, and I was a little bit frustrated, of course, because I thought, oh, I'm not using my degree, but it was fun. Don't get me wrong. I mean, party planning for diamond mining companies isn't terrible, but that sort of translated into work for an environmental consulting firm that had them as a client. And it's amazing all the skills that will translate that you don't typically consider that at the time. And so that was kind of a real, in retrospect, looking back, I realized I learned a lot doing things that I didn't think were going to be giving me any sort of like experience in my field. Preparing for doing party planning helped me learn how to plan for and execute a really well-run workshop, which is something that our group does lots of and is very important to the work that we do. That role I had at my very first environmental consulting firm, I was the junior researcher, so I was doing everything, even to the point of before a big workshop, I'd have to make sure I tested all of the flip chart markers to make sure that no one was going to run out of ink when they're standing at the front of the room. And, you know, it seems mundane and it made me sort of like go roll my eyes. But having been at the front of the room with a flip chart marker that didn't work, I realize now it's a very important task when you have 50 eyes looking at you. And I think that, you know, not only are you gathering skills and expertise, it's all kind of coming in there subliminally, but you're also like being viewed by senior people in the company as someone willing to kind of pitch in wherever it's needed. And it kind of speaks to that, don't say no, you know, tackle all sorts of opportunities as they come up aspect of consulting. I mean, we all have our technical areas of expertise, but the people that really succeed in consulting are the ones that sort of understand and can pitch in to help out wherever it's needed. Because sometimes we just don't have the luxury of sort of staying in a lane and saying, oh, I can't deal with that because this is my area of focus and this is all I've been educated about and this is all I'm ever gonna do, right? Which can translate to a lot of fun in consulting as a career, in my view. So should I take the QA right now since we've got one? Do we want to do this ad hoc? Sure, why not? Okay, let's do it. So the question is, when you were first starting your careers, either within the environmental field or not, what is something you wish you had done or known? Okay, we're just going to pause on that. Let everybody think. So then in terms of me and Whitehorse and Yellowknife, I guess the other key theme I wanted to share with people is that not just travel for work at the drop of a hat, as Carrie noted, but you know, take the opportunity to explore parts of Canada that you might not have thought were areas you wanted to go to. And because environmental consulting often deals with resource extraction projects, which are, you know, in rural and remote and northern areas, try things out outside of urban centers and see, and especially now with COVID and working from home and working remotely, like those opportunities are just going to expand. So without any further ado, because I think we're running a little bit behind, I will turn it over to Elise. And then she will speak, and then we'll respond to the questions coming up in the Q&A. So thank you so much for those.
Oh, thank you, Sheena. So background on who I am, you've heard my name is Elise McDonald. I've been with Chimera for 3 years now, but I am also right about that 20-year mark and a career consultant. I haven't done anything else professionally with my degree. I've certainly done lots of other jobs before I became a consultant. I have done almost half my career in BC and moved to Alberta 8 years ago. I got my degree in ecology and environmental science from UBC. And I've been I was lucky enough to land in a job. I think I started 3 months after I finished my coursework. I had taken a year off after first year, and so was graduated or finished my coursework in December of 2000, and came out at a time when there wasn't a lot of jobs, but there also wasn't a lot of graduates. So I kind of lucked into a maternity leave position that I was able to parlay into almost 10 years at my first company. So I'd like to elaborate on 4 points that my colleagues have already talked about and add a couple of things. The first is networking, then I'll talk a little bit about having that varied experience that seems to be really important for all of us, teamwork, and then project management. So networking, I got my first job on a night well, it started on a night that my sister dragged me out to a pub because I was morose about I was about to finish all my classes and had no idea what I wanted to do with my degree. One of her friends and I got to chatting, and I hadn't met him before, and he was talking that he had a similar degree, but he was working in contaminated sites in an environmental consulting firm, and I hadn't even know that environmental consulting was a thing. He gave me a name of a woman to call, and 3 days later I had an interview. 17 years later, I met him again, and he's now the vice president of our site assessment and remediation group here. So that leads me right into it. Never know where your next network contact is going to come from. And right now, you're building your peer network who will be the decision makers in 10 to 20 years. So keep in mind as you go through your business dealings and interviews, and all the colleagues you're in school with right now will be your colleagues in your professional setting. So it's really important you get to know each other and keep your networks alive. LinkedIn is a great way now that we didn't have when we were starting out in our careers. And also keeping an eye on who you're coming in contact with during your interviews, because you may run into them again in your professional career. So that varied experience. If I had any piece of advice, it would be to use your junior years to try everything, to not say no to anything, as Carrie has said, and take those opportunities that Sheila and Charlie have talked about. As a junior myself, I tried all of the biological groups, and I went out on archaeology field work to see what it was like. And it allowed me to tailor my career in a way that I really wanted. I was excited to do the work that I do now because I'd been able to try different disciplines and know what worked for me and what didn't. One of the best opportunities I had was a field job that other people didn't want. It was 14 months, basically in the field full time, lots of overtime. But on that site, I met regulators, I met clients, I met future clients, I met other people that do what I do. I led tours of the site, and people I didn't even know knew who I was all of a sudden. My network exploded just doing a job that nobody else wanted to do. And that leads into teamwork, being willing to take the hit and say, sure, I'll do that. That's not a problem. My other colleagues here have talked about when you are that more senior consultant, looking at who's on your team and who's willing to do the jobs that nobody else wants to do and fill in and make sure that the job is done is really important. And it really goes towards teamwork and delivering that quality product at the end. And really that's all our job is to give the client what they need and what they were looking for. And lastly, project management. I see a lot of new consultants immediately identify that they would like to be project managers. And if this is something you're considering, I certainly wouldn't dissuade you. I would urge you to think of it as its own discipline. Managing scope, cost, and schedule is very different than the normal things that we do day to day. And it takes some time to understand them all. The best project managers that I see are the ones that took that time early in their career to do all that varied work. They have a firm understanding of what it takes to get the job done in the field. They can identify in scopes and costs what's missing because they've done it before. They also know when a project is about to go off track, again, because they've done it or they've seen it. So take that time, ask lots of questions. And by this time, if you've followed all of this, you'll have a great network of people that you can ask those questions of and who will be more than happy to answer and help you out. And my last thought, if you're considering whether you want to be a consultant or not, is the flexibility. I can tell you that I love to be a consultant because I have the flexibility to manage my time. I can work anywhere as long as I have a computer and an internet connection these days, especially during COVID. I can be in the fields part of my week and in the office the other part. I think most of us came to this job because we like being outside, and that doesn't really change. We may get more tied to our desk, but we still like to get out and see the sites and talk to the clients. I've also been able to overhaul my career every 3 to 5 years and completely change sectors that I work in, disciplines that I work in, add a discipline to my repertoire. I've geographically changed locations, all within the realm of being a consultant. And it offers just this incredible flexibility for your lifestyle as well. So if you love to learn, you like to constantly evolve, you like being outside, and you have a bit of a head for business, consulting might be the right choice for you. I think we have one more poll question, and then we can answer. There was another Q&A in there. If you want to type in your answer to, are you interested in consulting as a career? Maybe while those are coming in, there was one other question. If we would recommend any specific training or things we could do to improve the soft skills we've mentioned, such as listening and communication. There's certainly courses you can take, but practice. Having good oral communication as well as written, clear emails. Emailing and texting is just a way of doing business these days, and I can see sometimes when people don't take enough time to formulate a thought before an email is fired off, that doesn't always go well. Do any of my other colleagues have an answer for that one?
Yeah, I have a couple thoughts. I think it was kind of interesting, you know, given the title of the talk and where we all gravitated towards, which was the soft skills rather than the hard skills. And so I think Charlie mentioned a few, like debates. I don't know if it was the debate club, but opportunities to use debating skills. The other one being Toastmasters, things like that. And in fact, if you're located in BC, there's Justice Institute of BC offers a number of really good courses in conflict resolution and negotiations and things like that. I'm sure there's similar programs in other parts of Canada. And a lot of business focused, I guess, sort of online platforms now where there's sort of coaching and mentorship around business management. So like the Harvard Business Review magazine, as some of you may have heard of, it's got all sorts of free content online around leading teams, you know, and being part of teams and all those kinds of soft skills in working in business. So I would say it'd be nice if there was a really just discrete checklist we could kind of put up there, but we look for, at least myself, I look for kind of a really well-rounded individual who's got, you know, a little bit of that kind of experience around the soft skills. Charlie, or Carrie, did you want to take the other questions that had floated up? There was one there around when you were first starting your careers. Can you see them?
Sure, yeah, I can take that one. So when you were first starting your career, either within the environmental field or not, what is something you wish you had done or known? So great question. For me, I mean, this might seem obvious to some, but it certainly wasn't obvious to me in my early years. I didn't, and this is kind of, and it's why I spoke about it in my little talk, is the business side. I naively thought coming out of university that I was gonna, you know, save the earth, and I didn't really realize that there was a whole, like, that I had to understand something about business in order to do that. Like I had to have a skill that I could sell, a knowledge that people needed from me in order to do that. And so, 4 or 5 years into my career, I started to realize that was what was happening. And so, so any sort of like business skills and business acumen that you can add to your repertoire at an early stage in your career, I would highly, highly recommend.
Awesome. So I have another one that was sent not to the whole group. What behaviors do team members who struggle the most exhibit? So I think what you're asking here is people who are struggling as a consultant, what behaviors are apparent there? So what's coming to light here is a lack of clear communication. Either we're handing out a task and the person isn't understanding it and not asking why. One of the things we often do, especially with junior employees, is set up regular check-ins. So do this portion of the task, check in with me, let's check that you're on point, and then move on to the next. So somebody who's finishing the entire task and then coming back and saying, here's a completed task, thinking we'll be thrilled because they've done it perfectly, except they went off track in one of those checkpoints. And that's, again, rely on us. That's what we're here for. We know that these are the common areas where somebody's going to go off track. That's why we set up the check-in, not to check if you're smart enough or you're doing good enough. We're a team. We're trying to help you learn and grow and complete the task as it needs to be. Again, back to the business, we do need to complete everything on scope and on budget. So if somebody has taken a task and gone in the wrong direction, now we need to redo the work, and that's something nobody wants to do. Other behaviors would be a lack of team spirit. So only doing the tasks that you are interested in, or only doing the tasks that fit your discipline as you see it. Not pitching in or not communicating with others. So one of the things I do love about Hemera, and this is my 4th consulting firm, is how everybody shares information. There's really no secrets. Everybody's here to help each other. And if I see a colleague that could benefit from something I know, we share that information, and vice versa. So it's a really collaborative process again. I think, Charlie, you have one. Are you back online?
Yes, yeah. So yeah, there's some great questions here. I'll read one out here. Environmental consulting has always seemed like a broad job description to me. Can you narrow down some things you guys do day to day, or some more specific responsibilities depending on your role? Great question, and I know that everybody on the panel would answer this one differently. You know, for me, a big part of my role is ensuring that the technical elements of the projects that I'm working on, so whether they are environmental approvals or field, design of field programs, ensuring that they're technically accurate and are being delivered to the client's objectives. And so, getting back to what Elise just said about understanding the business, well, our business is to deliver the service that our clients want. And on the presumption that our clients know exactly what they want, and sometimes we have to help them understand exactly what they want. But on that presumption, we are delivering what they're asking us to do. And a big part of my job is to make sure that the staff that I'm working with are delivering, are doing the right work to deliver deliver the service in an appropriate way that meets the regulatory requirements and eventually meets the client's needs. Obviously, that may not help you, Lucy, because it's still rather broad. I'm a biologist, so I'm doing a lot of biology work, but I'm also doing project management. I'm also looking after teams, and I'm every now and again managing budgets and things like that too. So I hope that helps. Elise or Kerry, you want to jump in and answer another question here?
Kerry, there was one in the chat I'm not sure you saw. Is there a possibility to get a volunteer position in the environmental consulting firm, or in the environmental consulting field, since you had some co-op positions and whatnot too?
Sorry, did you want me to answer that one? Sure, I'll just take it. Yeah, I mean, I think we typically, I haven't seen a whole lot of volunteer positions in the environmental field. There are great organizations like Streamkeepers and whatnot that have great volunteer experience, and in fact that's something that I did back in my university days. I added some volunteer work to my resume by working for our local hatchery and Streamkeepers. So I think on the volunteer side, although it's not something we've traditionally done at Hemera, we've more looked at internships and co-op positions But I don't know if do any of my colleagues have any other ideas on that one?
I was going to pass that one to Sarah because I don't know how. I don't know that we're allowed to just get people to work for us for free. Although it sounds lovely.
Yeah, I can jump in. To echo Carrie, we typically do internships or co-ops or just summer positions. You don't have to necessarily be part of the university's co-op program per se. So if you are interested in a summer position or a term, we are definitely always accepting resumes, and Hemera is really good about informational interviews. So if you are interested, and even if there's not a role currently available, we do try to connect you with some of our experts just to get to know a little bit more about us and the work that we do every day. So we will direct you to our website after this webinar, and you can look for our human resources email or connect with us on LinkedIn to set something up as well.
There's a really good question here about, so I really like that question about the soft skills. How do you get the soft skills like listening and communication? And we gave you, a whole bunch of ideas. What I would say to you is that when you get an interview with a company like Hemera, as an employer, I know that you have the skills. I've looked at your resume, and I can assume I will be pretty confident that you can do the job that we want you to do. That you have the technical skills. But what I really want to know when I interview you is, do you have those soft skills? Will you be the team player that I know that I need or we need in order to be a part of our company and to be a part of the culture that we work with? We're a collaborative group of people. We're very curious, lots of high functioning people that are working together to solve our clients' challenges. And I know that you've either got those skills or I can teach those technical skills, but what I don't know is how you'll work in the team. And so that's what I'm looking for when I'm doing interviews. So I would really think about focusing on those types of skills when you're going towards interviews, or when you're going into interviews.
Awesome, thanks, Charlie. So I think we need to wrap up here. People need to get moving on. You can connect with any of us in LinkedIn if you have any other questions that we didn't get to here. And Hemera is going to post this webinar on the LinkedIn site, I believe, at a later date. I think that's all we have to say here. Sorry, let me check this. But yes, thank you all for attending, and we look forward to answering any other questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thanks so much, everyone. And just a reminder that there are a couple other webinars being put on later this month if anyone's interested. So you can check out our LinkedIn page as well. Thanks, Carrie, Charlie, Elise, and Sheena. That was great.
Thanks. Bye.